Well, hello, all you cats and kittens out there. This is Hallermouth coming to you on a Friday night. The date for you people in the future, traveling back to look at us in the past. Today is March 8th, 2024, approximately 4:28 in the PM. And it is a rainy Friday afternoon. Since our last live stream where we had the great Eric Breen on there and stuff, a birthday may have happened and I got some presents. And then I also got a G-Mart comic book haul. And it may be time for a new comic book store, so we're going to let you guys maybe decide when I get there and stuff, right? So we've had the day off. I did some chores today and took care of the car and did a few things. We're going to be doing dinner after this. And in the midst of all that, I've actually been doing some reading, which has just been fantastic. Sit down to read these books and to settle down. Sometimes when you get involved in the halls and in the thrill of the hunt and the chase and the flea markets coming back, and as we go into spring, all the conventions and stuff are going to start getting going again. I've already been to, there's already one and I've already skipped two. There's just a lot out there and stuff. Sometimes we forget to slow down and actually read this stuff. And on top of all that, you end up getting a back pile here. And, it's kind of nice to get that stacked down a little bit. Read some great stuff, continue to read some great stuff. And some more great stuff has come in, which is just amazing. But it just amazes me how so much of the stuff that they are selling now are from days of old, as you will see. Maybe they know there's a market for us. And there's a few things where it's from the days of old, but they're at least moving forward and going up with everything, right? Now, rainy season outside where it's raining and stuff, that always puts you into the mood to read if you really give it a try and to go through comics and get lost in this stuff, right? I don't suggest people go and try to, I don't know, maybe hit a, it's one of the few times I would say don't go to a comic book shop or something sometimes when it's raining, because if you're an error or to Books a Million or a bookstore, because when it's raining outside, it's the same effect as going to a grocery store when you're hungry. You're not going to be able to focus. You're going to grab all kinds of stuff, right? So, like I said, a lot of the stuff that I have here, it just amazes me how much of it is from way back. I'm going to save the birthday haul for later, right? So the first book that I got to say has been underwhelming, and hopefully maybe I need to sit down and read all 6 issues together when they all finally come out. And I'm going to tell you, my last G-Mart haul was in December. And now, after the way this G-Mart store, after I'm seeing basically what happened, G-Mart is a store that I've been buying from since 2001, I believe, right? And over the years, oh God, what is it, 13, 14 years I've been doing YouTube, there have been many G-Mart hauls. You pre-order your books by 2 months, you get 35% off, sometimes a little bit more, for pre-ordering them. And then when your order accumulates to $85, they send it to you. And it's been taking quite a while to get those orders to come through. This order was ready at the beginning of February. We're at the first, going into the second week technically of March, and it took forever to get these books here. And some of them are damaged. And now I'm wondering if some of these books are late or if the comic book store is just that behind with their ordering or getting things done. I don't know. I never really bothered to worry about it and look at it, right? But so it might be a new time for a new store. So if there's anybody watching this, you want to suggest an online store where I can get great deals, then their website is simple to get through. Yeah, I'll take. I'm going to fit. I've already ordered 3 books for this month, more or less, for what's coming out in 2 months in May. 3 books. That's it. I can handle that. Maybe I'll switch over to the store at the end of the month or something, finish up my stuff with G-Mart. Because what has happened is G-Mart apparently was bought out. I go on to the Google search and do a website. Their store is permanently closed and somebody else has taken them over. And I'm seeing a huge difference in getting my books and the way the books are packed, right? And a little bit with the customer service. So anyway, going to current comics, I'm a huge JSA fan. I love that Earth 2 stuff for the pre-crisis people out there. I love the Golden Age stuff. And fair enough, over at Marvel, I love the Invaders that my stepdad bought. And I've got a huge collection of those. I was buying All-Star Squadron all on my own, those World War II ties, right? The Golden Age stuff. I've been talking about Sandman Mystery Theater that I've been reading and enjoying, making my way through that 90s Vertigo series that I could kick myself for not getting when it came out. But anyway, I gave it a chance, but there's been a couple of books coming out where we're having a little bit of a Justice Society resurgence. All right, Tony, I'll read some. I'll do the comments in a minute. So there's a bit of a resurgence of Earth 2 books, even though there is no Earth 2, but there'll always be Earth 2 to me. And that consists of Justice Society, the Golden Age characters, what's going on. They have their own little corner. And Jeff Johns came back, and apparently he's getting us through this 12-issue maxi series. And while they're doing that, there's been a Flash miniseries, a Sandman, Golden Age Sandman miniseries, and a god-awful, I read 2 issues of it, god-awful Tim Sheridan Golden Age Green Lantern book that is horribly written. It's one of those things where I'm like, how can you write heroic figures and call yourself a writer when you're writing this stuff? And then, anyway, I can just go on a rant about that book. It's so bad. But at the same time, I can't really brag on this book too much. And as I was stumbling beforehand, maybe I need to sit down and read all 6 when they came out. And that's what I want to do. I'm going to slow down. I read the first 2 issues of this Golden Age Sandman miniseries here. Hopefully they're coming through. Very cool cover there, sideways. And the first 2 issues were very underwhelming, as in dull. Nothing was going on, it felt like. So we have these fantastic covers where, we're in a morgue. And apparently we're dealing with some kind of doppelgangers there. That pulpy feel there where we have knives and who knows, I'd throw in some brass knuckles out if I was there and stuff like that. So we're going to hold off on recommending this or not recommending this till we read all issues together. So far, it's been weak. And I once gone back and forth, and I went back, but I had first, I think it was the first 5 issues. Per Degaton's popping up, the Huntress is going back and forth. We're getting, I guess, in time. A lot of fun going on, but it's got that little bit of a decompressed storytelling, right? And then I found out there was 2 issues I missed, and I didn't catch that. So when my last G-Mart haul came in December, I think I said it when I was online here, I picked right up and read through it. I read the Stargirl miniseries that was coming out. It was in trade of the Lost Children, where all these sidekicks that you didn't know existed from World War II were being saved from an island where time is all messed up. And then I picked right up reading this, and where I missed those 2 issues, it's written in a way where I could not tell that I missed 2 issues. Think about that. I missed 2 issues of this and didn't notice. So I looked up. I was able to make it to an actual physical comic book shop. The nearest ones are getting close to 2 hours away from where I live now. So when I do, when I went to a new comic book shop, bought the books, read them, it really didn't make a difference. It turns out a whole new story had started without actually resolving the second one. You follow me? So if you're reading it, maybe it's just a whole new way of registering your brain. But we have some fantastic Tony Harris covers here, if I'm remembering correctly. So we have Justice Society number 8. It feels like this series that's supposed to be 12 issues has been coming out for a year and a half. So I don't know if we're on a bi-monthly schedule, a quarterly schedule, or if we're just taking our time getting these books out. I don't know. So maybe I'll just hold off and read that also when it's complete and read it in one setting. So yeah, there you go. Get a little frustrated. I've been doing this since 1977. I have lived through the 90s with the Image Comics being late. You know what I mean? I have lived through Frank Miller doing Dark Knight Strikes and in the early 2000s and being late, right? I have been with the late books. The 12 by J. Michael Straczynski. I was there when it felt like that last issue was never going to come out. And I've been pretty calm and stuff, but this is kind of getting ridiculous because you don't feel like it's a creative process that's going on. You kind of get the idea of like the way comics have been with their lower quality over the past few years, you get an idea that this is just a fuck up. I mean, that's what it feels like. It's so much difference. There's a big difference between paying your money in advance and wanting a story and being like, hey, if they're making a better book, let's do it. We I don't know if you remember what they did with Infinite Crisis, where to get the book out on time, they actually just had a colorist paint a couple of pages and panels pure red, and you had to wait till the trade came out to get the correct coloring. I get it. You know what I mean? That's not what this feels like. So, Mr. Tony, how are you doing, sir? I should try DCBS. I actually think my buddy Anderson has told me about them before. I think I do have a friend that orders from them. I use them for years. Great service. I just don't buy new books anymore. Yeah, that's all. My order now. That's for the books that are coming out in 2 months. I got number 1 and 2 of the Crisis on Infinite Earths facsimile edition. And I can't remember if it's Dynamite or Boom. It's one of those two. I'm thinking it's Dynamite. They're coming out with a Space Ghost book, and I've heard little titterings and tatterings. If Comic Book News Online was worth keeping up with, maybe I would know for sure. But I heard this could be, we might be getting another, I don't know what, rush of Hanna-Barbera Universe books. And I'm being attacked by a cat behind me that wants to be petted now. Hello, Shiva. So that's it, 3 books, and they're facsimile editions, right? So yeah, there you go. I'm telling you what's going to keep the hobby alive are back issues, and I feel like that's what's been going on right now. Current comics' greatest enemy is the back issues, right? Hey, thank you, Easy Comic Reader. Fantastic stuff. Check out Easy Comic Reader's channel, man. I kind of every now and then I'll jump on there and watch a video myself, comic book videos, right? So since I was talking about facsimile editions, this is what's come out over the time, right? I bought these off the rack. This is facsimile editions. Has a little bit of foil on there. No, but these are Batman facsimile editions of Year One. Okay, this is Batman 404, 405, 406, 407. Frank Miller, David Mazzucchelli. I bought these off the rack when they came out. 2007, 2008, I had to sell some comics. And yes, it was due to divorce. Divorce sucks. Not a big deal, right? I have since replaced them over the years, found them in dollar boxes, no big deal, things like that. But you never get, this is why I love a story of, oh my God, what is it? Why am I going blank now? The Prince in his rose and the snake in the desert. Oh my God. Anyway, there's 1,000 roses out there, but only one can really be yours. So even if I had, paid a lot of money to get a perfect set of this, I'll never have the ones that my probably 13-year-old hands touched and took care of for over 20 years and stuff like that, right? So I have ones that have aged. I also have the Frank Miller complete Batman leather-bound edition that came out in 1988 that had the complete works of Frank Miller at the time of on Batman. And you would have this, and then you would have the Dark Knight Returns in that leather edition. And I actually fell in love with this. I knew what was going on. But I tell you what, the Frank Miller, David Mazzucchelli team up, whatever was going on was pure gold. I didn't even realize, when I read this, I knew it was good. I didn't know what we had. You know what I mean? Like, I did not realize what we had. And of course, right now, more people are going to be talking more about it's Marvel. That's a lot of love for Daredevil because that's where Frank Miller became a superstar. I get it. But I actually enjoy Batman Year One, which is more of a Jim Gordon story, actually, to tell the truth, than I do Batman Born Again. And I own Batman Born Again. I've read it 3 or 4 times. I get it. I get that people love that. But in my opinion, this is the better one, So anyway, these facsimile editions, of course, come in there. As you can see, if it shows up, they don't have they do little things to make sure you don't get swindled if you go through dollar boxes and stuff in the future or wherever these pop up. But they do have like all the original advertisements, the letter columns and things like that. That's the difference between dollar books and facsimile editions. This just goes to show that a lot of our collecting is an illusion. And thank God what it is, because at any time or shape or form, they could actually reprint these completely brand new. And back in, I'm trying to think when it was, 2001, somewhere between 99 and 2002, I was in a panel where it was Dick Giordano, some guy that inked Sonic the Hedgehog, and then it was the original creator of Green Lantern, I believe, Marty Knoll, I think, if I'm remembering the name right. And even he said at the time that he didn't understand why these books were worth so much when they could just print them again. And here we are. Facsimile editions and dollar things have been a thing for the last couple of years. I was laughing when I was starting to see the facsimile edition of Werewolf by Night number 32. First appearance of Moon Knight was redone. And I've seen it, I saw it go for $20 to $50 on eBay, and people were paying that. I was like, oh my God, so there we go. Oh, see what people are jumping on here. Hey, thank you, Tony. The Little Prince. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a rainy day out there. I have two versions of the Little Prince books. I have the 30 somewhere on, or I probably sold it, but I had the VHS forever of the 30-minute claymation that came out of the Little Prince. We have the Little Prince on digital media and DVD and I think Blu-ray or something. I bought the kit or something when it came out, when they made the movie of it and stuff. So I've loved that story since I was probably about 6 or 7 years old. So the French just make some of the best stories, best sci-fi. Here we go, Tony. We took great comics for granted back in the 80s and 90s. We thought comics would always be great and plentiful. Don't turn out that way. It didn't turn out that way, unfortunately. Yeah, Tony, it's I've discussed this before a little bit, and it always seems like I could get bottom line at a little bit more. And I love it's a zeitgeist. We all know it. Nobody made the revelation. Not one person made the revelation. Everybody else was like, he's right. Everybody who was there and collecting comics know it. We just know it, and you can put it in 3 words, you can put it in 3 paragraphs, you can put it in 3 pages, and we all get it. You know what I mean? Like, we totally understand that. Basically, what I thought is, I saw Alan Moore do an interview, or read an interview. I remember the first time I read it, where he thought that Watchmen was going to cause writers to elevate comics, get a bit more sophisticated, write great things. And of course, now he's like, oh, I made ABC Comics because I'm sorry, I took the innocence out of comics. I didn't mean to do that. But there was this feeling with music and everything that we knew we were having a good time at the time, but you just kind of thought things were going to get even better and better and keep elevating. Little did we know the peak was right around the corner, it felt like. I like to think it's more of a trend, a pendulum swinging, and maybe one day, I try to keep positive. I feel like as soon as I actually quit getting comics is when it's going to get better. You know what I mean? Like, I'm hanging on there a little bit. It's in my blood. I actually just need to get out sometimes and go through a dollar box at an antique shop or something. Oh, Tats Comics is here. Hey, glad to see you. Working on my man cave. I plan on doing that tonight. That's why I'm upstairs doing this. And behind me, guys, this is the wife's manga collection and book collection. This is what's my rebuilt record collection. I had no problem rebuilding my collection off and on for the last 10, 15 years because I only get what I'm going to listen to. The record collection that I had built up through the 90s and stuff was a bunch of junk. You know what I mean? It was just, just grabbing whatever when they were on sale and stuff like that. So glad to see you. But yeah, the man cave, I got to get on that stuff as I'm reading and stuff, right? So moving forward, this is one of the other problems with G-Mart that I have, right? Over the years, I can only think of maybe 3 times there was a mix-up or some damaged books. They had a sales associate or whatever his title was, and he went by Duck. Duck was, it was actually his email was in the service, Duck at, gmart.com and stuff. Well, I remember when we got the email that Duck had left or whatever was going on, and then the place sold, right? Not only would Duck fix my books if they were damaged, but he would upgrade me a little bit, right? The upgrade is nothing I would ever look for, nor did I ever depend on. But that was what was cool about it, right? So there's little things that got me is like when I got issue 21 of World's Finest, this is issue 22 and 23, they sent the wrong they sent the wrong cover, which I didn't think was a big deal. So I took a screenshot of my cover, sent it to their new service department. Let me pull that up. And I kept the email, and I even circled. Is that going to show up? I even circled the correct cover, provided her pictures, I'm assuming this is a her, provided her picture of the wrong cover that I received, and even offered to, I think, send it back. And I got an email back stating, we'll fix it. I'm going to order it for you. It'll be in your next order. Well, it's not there. Okay. It's not there. It's not about the money. It's not really about having on this one, about having the correct cover. It's that I ordered something. You had plenty of time to make sure that it was in there, and you told me you were going to fix it. The previous person who did it always fixed it, and there you go. I've been here before, not fixed, still don't have the right cover. It's more of a principle of the matter. I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking, but there's been some other stuff going on here, right? So as we go back to the 80s, which blows my mind on quite a few things here, right? I'm not going to jump into any new series before checking it out. I'm tired of the bait and switches. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm talking about. Kevin Smith got people with his He-Man bait and switch with that TV show on Netflix, right? I'm suspecting the X-Men 97 that's coming back. You got to remember it's Disney. I'm expecting a bait and switch. I see people very optimistic about it, and I'm just like, I'll be showing up with popcorn when everybody's pissed off by the second or third episode, possibly the first. But I'm trying to be hopeful. Okay, you know what I mean. Maybe that 97 will be 97% positive with 3% shit. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, going back, we have the Thundercats back again, this time at Dynamite Comics. And this is number 1. And I went with the Jay Lee cover of all the other covers to pick from at the time. They had a ton of them, if I remember right. And I know it's probably listed as ongoing, but it's a licensed property. There's no telling how long it will last there. And of course, we have series that have been at the same places forever. And then we've had some that move along. So we'll see how this does. But Jay Lee, I met him, and I love his art style. I've seen him from his first book published at Marvel, Namor, when John Byrne was writing. I think once it was Namor, somewhere maybe 26, something like that, 25, 26, somewhere in there. He was very Simon Bisley-like, and to see him just grow as an artist and get this very unique art style that feels very 30ish. Like I feel like Buster Crabbe is doing everything that he draws. I've met him. He signed a few things for me. So yeah, his artwork is just this stuff. It was great to see him on high profile projects like with Peter David adapting the Stephen King Dark Tower series a few years ago. So yeah, it was just great to see the stuff coming back. But like I said, a lot of the stuff is retroactive after years of pushing. They actively pushed a lot of older collectors away and stuff. Here, all of a sudden, here's all this stuff coming out that is retroactive. Another book, and I had to double check this one. Why I got this cover, I'll never know. Todd Knock did this cover. The guy's known for Young Justice and doing the Stargirl series, drawing young kids. We have the Miracle Man. The Silver Age. I think this is supposed to be the final issue. We finally had that last issue. The last couple issues actually have been the last issue. But for you guys that weren't there, I was there. I knew that Miracle Man coming back, the hype had grown over the years, right? It really became famous when you had Neil Gaiman and Todd McFarlane going to court, and I'm beginning to wonder if that was a stunt, going to court on who owned it. Eclipse went out of business. We didn't get the last issues of Neil Gaiman's last story where he picked up from Alan Moore, did a classic. And then when Marvel acquired this, guys, I think they started putting this out in 2013 or 14. We are talking 10 years to get 20, what is this? We're going to go with 26, 27 issues out. That's ridiculous. But Neil Gaiman came in. They had the stories. I feel like some of the stories were changed and updated. And we finally get this last Miracle Man story. This was supposed to have come out a year ago, around a year ago when I ordered it, pre-ordered it, right? So yeah, we finally had that. Did Marvel drop the ball? I don't know. But my big thing was is that the mystique grew over the years to where I knew if new readers came on when Marvel started reprinting these from they started from issue 1 up, leading up to this, right? I knew there was a chance that people were going to be underwhelmed because once again, you had to be there when this was coming out. The best thing to do would be to take get you about 4 or 5 books from like 1981, read those, and then read this, and you would get what Alan Moore did here, you know. Yeah, but I love my Miracle Man. I skipped the last hardback. The pre-order for the hardback was last month. I have all of them in hardback. I'm not getting the Silver Age in hardback. I haven't been that impressed with it. Thundercats, I'll keep an eye out on it. You know, I'm trying to think what it's on. One of the streaming services has the Thundercat show. I have volume 1. I have the first 33 episodes on DVD that I bought for $8 while it was on sale. Before we get retro again, going back to the world's finest here, I took a chance on getting the new book. Mark Waid has come in, and I cannot remember who I was on with. I've done 2 or 3 shows, 2 of which were not on my channel. And I'm trying to think, but somewhere on the line, I have been told that Mark Waid's reputation is pretty much destroyed. This might have been a private conversation. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this. But anyway, somebody who has a little bit of a no in there is claiming, apparently, or what's that word I need? You know, allegedly, we'll go with allegedly. Mark Waid's, reputation is kind of shot, and that's why he kind of gets his own book and his own little corner there, kind of gets to do what he wants to do. I don't think it really matters, at this point. And it's really odd for me to talk about Mark Waid because I met him at Heroes Con. I have this picture of he and I being all chummy there. Did a little bit of talk, got some Flash comics signed. But I also remember, reading the interviews and the build up to Kingdom Come back in '96. Where he made it clear that this was Alex Ross's baby, and he was there to kind of shine it up. You know what I mean? He's there to make sure it's coherent and maybe give him some ideas about how characters would act or not act, or maybe a little, fill in some gaps there. And over the years, they split up over creative differences. We got the God Awful Kingdom that Mark Waid kind of bookended with some one shots there. I think he wrote 1 or 2 of them. And then years later on JSA, Jeff Johns and Alex Ross came on there, and they kind of did their prequel of Gog coming up and Magog and all that stuff. And then we have this World's Finest where, Mark Waid, has come back, and he has our Batman and Superman of today going there a few years before Kingdom Come happens on that Earth. And I was super disappointed with what I was reading. You had these 2-page splash pages that just said World's Finest, like it was a movie trailer or something, like a movie, like the movie credit at the beginning of a movie. And I'm like, what is this crap? I did not pay this money for $2 of, World's Finest by Mark Waid. Come on, give me a break. So I was underwhelmed, but we're going to finish it. I've already pre-ordered the entire Kingdom Come storyline here. So maybe it'll be better, Oh, man. All right, Gretzky's here. Gretzky seems like I haven't seen you in a while, or maybe I'm just getting old, since I had, Okay. That's not nitpicking. You should get the book you ordered. I completely agree, Tat. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not being petty. So going back again, this time we're going back to the 90s, right? And in the 90s, there's a lot of things going on, right? We had Image Comics taking off, Valiant Comics taking off, Ultraverse taking off, Milestone Comics taking off, Techno Comics taking off, Cartoon Comics taking off. Everybody, Green Man Press was taking off. Everybody was coming in and doing world building, and we had over 800 books. If you actually ordered every comic you could get and put them on up on your shelves, it'd be 800 comics. In the middle of this, there's a little side project because creator rights were a big thing going on back then, thanks to Image and stuff, and Vertigo to a certain extent. I don't think Vertigo gets the credit it should for some of the things they worked out. They came out with a line of Helix comics, and you got this Tim Truman Black Lamb story that I need to go back and finish as I'm talking to you because I got the first issue where it was like vampires in like a cyberpunk environment, I think, or something. And then I think there was Howard Chaykin and Walt Simonson and Michael Moorcock, but these were standalone. Gil Kane, The Edge. I hope I'm getting my Helix mixed up with The Edge. Bravo. I might be getting them caught up. I think I'm mixing them up with a line of comics called Bravo Comics that came out through Malibu. But anyway, that's how interchangeable they were. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot going on back then, right? I don't even feel bad about that one. Okay. I mean, go out and try to find a video on Helix Comics and Bravo. I think that's what they were called. BRVAUO. How Chaykin had Power and Glory come out through them. But Helix Comics, like I said, had like Black Lamb. I'm seeing some cyberpunk in my head advertisement for another book. And it had a 12-issue maxi series drawn, at least I think was drawn. I know the covers were drawn by them. But it's an anthology series by Michael Moorcock that is called The Multiverse. Anything that is Elric related that Michael Moorcock writes, no matter what genre it is, it's all canon. That's what's so cool about this. Elric was huge in my house. I started reading the first book when I was like 5 or 6. Did not comprehend what I was writing. I understood the Ruby Throne. I got that there was some kind of pirates and ships going on because they were at sea. There were sailors and there were dragons, right? I had this whole other story in my head that I wished I had written down. Because it's like reading 50 Shades of Grey versus Twilight. That's where 50 Shades of Grey came from. It was Twilight fan fiction and it morphed. That's what I did as a kid. So I was probably about 12. I think I was 12, 13, 14. I started reading Andre Norton, a little bit more Mark Twain, and the Elric books and stuff, right? So this comes out and this goes through the Elric multiverse. Every dimension has like an eternal champion. That you have that are versions of Elric. You have Corm. Corm is my favorite, a little bit even more than Elric, which is kind of weird, right? So these are all new stories. It's an anthology series, and it explores that multiverse within that system, right? So Titan Books has been putting out these fantastic library editions, and I'm getting them piece by piece because I have a ton of the Pacific comics that came out in the 80s that Roy Thomas, Michael T. Gilbert did, P. Craig Russell did, Stormbreaker in the 90s. All the adaptations of, no matter what company it was with, Titans is coming out with these hardbacks in these fantastic Michael Moorcock library editions, and I absolutely love them. I have 2 of them, and actually one was replaced due to being damaged by G-Mart. Now, why do I bring that up? Because as I'm sitting here looking at it, I just did this. This book is damaged as I feel it on the corner. We cannot have that. That's a brand new book. This was $21 with the discount. It's a $30 book. I'm going to have to take pictures and send it in. Volume 2, I ordered this last year. This is what I'm saying. I'm beginning to wonder what books are late and what books are just late through my comic book store. The second volume 2 came out a week after my order was ready to go. I could have had both volumes. This is the first 6. This I know I'm going to enjoy because Michael Moorcock has written comics before. He's done this the first time I think he dabbled in it is he worked with Roy Thomas back in the 70s where we had Elric meet Conan, which was very cool. I have some Tom Strong comics that were drawn by Jerry Ordway where they did a pirate story with Tom Strong and there's Elric on it and he found the sword with the runes on it and stuff, Stormbringer. Not great, but it's still canon. So, and then he did Making of a Sorcerer with Walt Simonson that I had my picture with Walt with my books and he signed those, which was, pretty good. I'm like, if you like Elric, you like Michael Moorcock, it's written by the dude, right? So there's that. And I cannot believe that's damaged. Dang on it. Well, it's all right. We'll get that fixed. And going even further back, guys. Okay, like I said, everything's retro. That's a 90s book with a character created in the 60s, I think. We're going back to the 90s with a prequel to World's Finest, apparently, right? We're going back with the Batman Year One. Oh, I'm rolling now, man. I haven't done this in a while. We're rolling now. We're going back to Miracle Man from the 80s and 90s, Thundercats from the 80s and stuff, right? So let's go back to like 1983. And what is so cool that I can actually say about my house, you know, growing up was the access to things that were cool that I felt other people were missing out on. I thought I was on the end, right? And we're talking things like Ralph Bakshi doing Wizards and Lord of the Rings. I had my Star Wars, don't get me wrong, but I had this other stuff on the side, a little bit of this fantasy stuff, right? And then all of a sudden I got to watch Heavy Metal, the movie, you know what I mean? Which was just fantastic. That was so cool. And that soundtrack and stuff as a kid was very cool. And then thanks to Conan being in my house, I knew who Frank Frazetta was. I knew exactly who Frank Frazetta was because of all the freaking pulps and books that were in the house. It was the Frazetta that stood out that I would sit there and look at and stuff, right? And then when all of those kind of mixed together, a 10-year-old me got to rent, didn't see it in the theater, and I never saw it in the theater around here, got to rent Fire and Ice. And it is all over streaming services and things where you want to find it. And now we have Bill Willingham coming in. This is issue 2. Yeah, I have issue 1. And yes, I'm getting all the covers except for the blank covers. I can't remember how many issues this is going to be, maybe 4 or something. But Bill Willingham, of Fables and Elementals and things like that, a very capable writer that I feel good. I believe he's doing a prequel series of Fire and Ice, which I'm very excited about. So this is just fantastic. And I like Fire and Ice. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I think Roy Thomas and Gary Conway also wrote it, I think. I used to know all this stuff about Fire and Ice. I'm at that age where I feel like I have forgotten a lot that because I've talked about it and, I made room for other things. I don't know, right? But yeah, this is just fantastic. It's not everybody's cup of tea. That rotoscope that Bakshi does, a lot of people find Bakshi a little bit slow. I see a lot of experimental stuff and fantastic animation and colors and concepts. And it's great to have comics, people coming and doing comics because maybe we can get a little bit more action than what we did. Now, the cool thing about Frank Frazetta is many things. The guy could have went on and been in, was it Major League? I don't know. He could have been a professional baseball player. I think at some point he had a stroke or something, and he relearned how to paint and draw with the other hand. You know what I mean? He had to switch hands, no problem. When he was like 70, he got attacked by 2 Rottweilers, and he was able to get back into a house and go straight through them without getting a mark on him. And then when it came to Fire and Ice, rotoscoping, what people don't realize is they had people, Frank Frazetta came in and he designed everything, helped a little bit with the story. And then he was on set, and they would have people dressed like his characters so they could, go and trace them with the rotoscoping animation. And they had stuntmen out there, and the stuntmen weren't doing things the way that Frank's characters were supposed to do them. So this 50-year-old man, I think at the time, I don't know how old he was, been out there and said, no, it's like this. And the stuntmen were like, we can't do this. So Frank Frazetta, man's man, right? I saw an art book of his or something. I hope I have it or somebody showed it in one of these shows. But when you open up the book, the inside of the book like this, it was a picture of Frank Frazetta, pompadour, white T-shirt, jeans in the 50s, and he'd taken like a broom handle and put a blade on the end of it in the woods. All right. So you had this greaser in the woods looking like a damn barbarian. And that was so he could have a picture taken and he could use it for reference in his paintings. That is cool. That is very cool. Frank Frazetta, man's man, if you will. So here we are, guys. I kept this exactly where it is. So I want to show you this. This is from G-Mart. This is the last thing to show you guys from G-Mart. And they're being so nice. It says magazines enclosed with a smiley face and a star. Okay. 2 pieces of cardboard. It's taped up. They did not tape the magazines down. That is them sliding. So they have slid. And there's a big, huge dent on this end. And my paperbacks and magazines are all dented up. So they're going to have to be replaced also. Like I said, I got this today. Opened these up probably about 30 minutes before I made the video. So I wanted to do this live here, and we'll see how the magazines look and the damaged. Yep, which blows my mind because I love these magazines. When I get down to get them, I'm very picky. So the first one you might get while I'm a little perturbed here because this is super damaged. I haven't really looked at the damage yet. Yeah, it's damaged. Yep. I don't know if that'll show up. White on white, but it's all wrinkled. This is all wrinkled. It looks more, it's crushed, but it looks like water damage. And as you can see, these Dark Horse Comics has been doing this fantastic reprint series of EC Comics, and this is Shock Suspense Stories, Jolting Tales of Tension, right? EC Comics, right? This was $20, so this is probably $13 with my discount. Yeah, $13 with my discount. When did this come out? 12/40, December 4th is when the store received it. So yeah, I've been getting a few of these here and there. I got hooked on these because when I was at Heroes Con last year in North Carolina, I was able to get 2 of these reprints for $5. They're supposed to be $5 a piece, and for whatever I bought a few things from them at once, so maybe that had something to do with it. They kept me a deal. But when I got 2 of these Dark Horse EC reprint magazines that are fantastic. Yeah, they gave them to me 2 for $5. So I'm picking up a few here and there. I have one more coming that I've ordered. And as you can see on the back of it, they have a plan here. So I'm assuming they're doing all series from Dark Horse and stuff. They're just taking their time. I remember when Dark Horse was starting to gain steam. They started out in the 80s, of course, but it was the late 80s going into the 90s when they got the Alien license and the Predator license. And then you found out about Concrete. You talk about alternative comics being at their peak. Dark Horse had a mystique. You know, you had to have a comic shop to go to. So when you don't have a comic book shop and you're in high school and you're hearing about this other company, and every now and then you'll see one of your friends or some older guys have a Dark Horse comic, it felt a little forbidden. You know what I mean? So yeah, between Dark Horse Comics Presents, all that Alien stuff they were doing, Roachmeal, Boris the Bear and things. It was a moment, man. It kind of reminds me of, for some reason, it reminds me of REM sticking out in the 90s. REM in the 80s, while all that hairband stuff was going on, you'd get a Orange Crush song coming up, or It's the End of the World and stuff. That's kind of what it felt like. All the razzle dazzle makeup and things like that, and big guitars, and all of a sudden you have, college band sneaking in there. That's what it felt like. Man, thanks everybody. Oh, great, man. Everybody's saying hello. So there's that. Now, what else? What back issue magazines did we get? Oh my God, this one's even dog-eared. You gotta be kidding me. It's either cut or dog-eared, and this is supposed to be brand new. Right there. There's a white line color break, at least on. I'll open it up. But this is Back Issue Magazine. I've met Mike Uri, and these are actually, apparently, I think they're Tomorrow Publishing's offices are in North Carolina, about 3 hours from me now, 2 hours from where I used to live. And this is that was a great segue from what I was talking about Dark Horse and stuff, because these are the 80s indies heroes featuring Whisper, Aztec Ace, The American, Dynamo Joe, Megaton Man, Tracker and Zot, featuring Chuck Dixon, Steve Grant, Scott McCloud, William Messner Loebs, Don Simpson, Ron Randall, Doug Mooch. This is number 149 of Back Issue Magazine. And this is, like I said, it says indie, but this is when they were called alternative. I've clipped somewhere on probably sometime last year on my Instagram. I was going through an Amazing Heroes magazine from the 80s, and they had their top 100. And then on the bottom corner, they had their top 10 alternative books. So they were called alternative books. So yeah, getting back and hearing some stories behind there, this always gets me interested in going back and getting books that I didn't have access to. I love the Epic line of books that were coming out at Marvel. The Shadow line of books, weak. New Universe, what they've been doing at Marvel for the last 9-10 years makes New Universe looks like the second coming of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And every year it comes by, those books get elevated. And believe me, they weren't that. They were not that when they came out. They are now. Tomorrow's Publishing is fantastic. Oh, Jackson, I knew about this, forgot about it, and everything I looked at that I wanted was already sold out, is what it told me. But you can get it digital, right? Tomorrow's is currently having a 30th anniversary sale. Yes, I have Tomorrow's Publishing on my Facebook. Something else. They're on my social media. So everybody check that out. Thank you, Jackson, for letting us know, because I completely forgot about it. I got on there, picked out 5 or 6 things. I was on my phone. And then when I was finally getting closer to it, I saw that I was ordering digital stuff because what I wanted was sold out. So people love their Tomorrow Publishing stuff. I have stocked up on Tomorrow's sales, 62 Lefty books. Awesome, man. Awesome. Oh, Jackson's here right on top of it. Thanks for the birthday wishes, guys. 80s explosion of comic companies was exciting. Yes, it was very exciting. Very exciting. And like I said, it had me wanting to know more. Being 10, I was between 10 and 16 when all that stuff was going on, and didn't make it to like a real bookstore or a comic book shop till about 88. So some of the first stuff that I got was Elementals #3, the second volume, which I still have that book. I'm probably going to frame it. And Sandman, like #6, I think, 6 or 7. So 1988 was when I really was able to get my hands on that stuff. Now in 7th grade, as I'm sitting here talking to you and stuff like that, there was a guy named Robbie Bird that I've talked about before. He had access to a lot of that stuff. It's where I saw a lot of Pacific Comics was at his house. He lived on the other side of town. And I remember seeing Skate Man for the first time in some continuity comics and stuff like that. All right. Oh, God. This one, dog-eared on the back. So whatever happened, this one is dog-eared also. I don't know if that's showing up. This doesn't look as bad as the other. Well, when you look at it straight on, it's all bent up and creaked up and stuff. Now, this one I don't know if I can forgive. That back issue, maybe. This, absolutely not. This is a Jack Kirby collector with Darkseid on the cover. And I found an old video. There's a person going through, it looks like they're watching all my videos from the beginning. This is probably the, I don't know, 4th or 5th person I know that's decided to do that. And he actually came up on a video in 2013 where I had a horrible week at work back then. And I just took off for the weekend. I ended up at a flea market and I found a bunch of Jack Kirby collectors for $1 a piece. So this book's been coming out forever. And this is number 89, spring 2024. So I'm a Kirby nut, and I've told the tale many times. I know there's new people here over the years compared to way back then, how Jack Kirby was the man in the house with the stepdad and all that stuff, right? Dr. Doom was the villain, things like that. Jack Kirby scared the hell out of me. OMAC #1, that cover. There's a Losers issue I still have with no cover, and I found one to upgrade and have it for nostalgic state. Howler Mouse historical moments, if you will. But if I went to bed at night, I would have to flip Jack Kirby comics over, especially that OMAC #1, because they scared the crap out of me. And it was thanks to Thundar the Barbarian, which I may have the DVD set over here. I showed it a few weeks ago. Thundar the Barbarian that brought me around to Kirby, just to get short and skinny, and then I became the man with it. You know what I mean? Like, it was the stuff. So, guys, as you can see, I have Jack Kirby. I have $10 magazines. What is this? $20. I got this 35% off on this, but this shouldn't matter. $20 book here. I got a $30 book over there. I know I got them 35% off, and they're all damaged on the corner because of poor packing. With a company or website, as I said, they went out of business, that I've been with since 2001 and probably had 2 or 3 other incidents over the years. I think it is time for a new comic book shop. What do you think? And again, I said it at the beginning, I'm going to have to write down because these comments don't always show back up on the rerun, but I've already had one online comic book store suggested to me. Feel free to give me another one here. DBCS, I think. So we got some people popping in. 62 Lefty Blues. What's up, brother? You stocked up? Gray Man is here. Hey, Howler Mouse. Pretty interesting day to do a live stream. Not available this Sunday. Maybe not. I may not be. That's part of the reason I went ahead and did this. Some irons are in the fire. We'll see what happens. Hey, take good. Hey, good. I'm just glad you were able to pop in, Tap Man. Glad I could be part of your day. Oh, thanks, Parker. Appreciate it. My comic shop packing is immaculate. Let me know which one it is, Easy. Maybe were you the one that told me about DCBS? Oh, you're talking about mycomicshop.com out of Texas. Used to be Lone Star. They're still Lone Star in my mind, thanks to all those years in having their catalog in the comics and stuff. I'm probably going to go ahead and try them. I tried using their catalog, their monthly catalog on my phone, and it was a mess. Maybe I need to just go ahead and use the computer to do it. So I've got two people here, but hearing about the immaculate packing, that would really help right now. So now, guys, this is the part where I am blessed. I've been a little jaded so far, and I think you see why. I've been a little verklempt. I don't know, man. Kind of getting tired of everything like this, coming out. And then all of a sudden, you have people in your life who can be thoughtful. I have great stuff here that they have that I have, but not only am I grateful that they got stuff that I love, that's the selfish part. It was my birthday, don't get me wrong, but I absolutely love when people give thoughtful gifts because I put a lot of effort in for people I care about to get a thoughtful gift for them. Like I'll really put a lot of effort into it and stuff, like because I know what that feeling is, and I just want them to know that I communicating that I pay attention to you. I get to know you. I like your, all this about you. I like thoughtful gifts and stuff, right? And every one of these were thoughtful gifts. Anderson's, Ingo out there, brother, if you see this, and then my beautiful, beautiful wife. That she did too much. I told her she should have got one, and even something maybe a little bit cheaper. Then I found out she got it off of Amazon. Probably got a little discount, right? So anyway, the first thing here that I absolutely loved, and I didn't know this existed. And when I finish my current book, Kings of the Wild, this will be the next thing I pop in on. I'm skipping the rest of my Sandman short stories that I've shown and stuff. But Robert E. Howard, the horror stories of Robert E. Howard. And I am blown away by what I'm seeing here because I didn't know this book existed. There's stories in here that you're talking to a guy who at least thought that he had a broad knowledge of Robert E. Howard stories, not a deep one. You follow what I'm saying? There's broad where you kind of you can carry a conversation, but then you have the experts that come in that can take apart the stories and maybe come up with a weird timeline. You know what I'm talking about. And there's things I am with that, right? Conan, I'm in the middle of that. Cole, a little bit, but basically his I hate calling him fantasy. I know that's the genre, but his barbarian stuff, man, I can hold my own. You know what I'm saying? The rest of this stuff, I didn't even know. No, I didn't existed, man. Right? I mean, here's Solomon Kane. Solomon Kane, I am a little weak on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. I saw the movie. I've read a few of the books. I saw some of the backups in Savage Sword, but that's about it. So the thing on the roof, that sounds familiar. I cannot wait to get into this. That's my whole point, right? And like I said, Solomon Kane right there on the cover, man. So yes, yeah. Solomon Kane is in this. Brandmark Morn, never read a story with him in it that I can recall. Steve Costigan, I've actually read those and didn't realize those were Robert E. Howard. I didn't get it. This includes the masterpiece Pigeons from Hell, which Stephen King calls one of the finest horror stories of the 20th century. I've read that one. See what I'm saying? But but to have a collected edition, I didn't know there was this much. So that's fantastic. That is fantastic. It's a mix of things I read and no longer have because they weren't mine. They were probably the stepdads and some of his friends. They would trade in books and let each other borrow things and stuff. It was cool to be a kid and be around part of that generation that read. You know what I mean? They read stuff. They read their books. The world was quiet enough to where they did that for enjoyment. Are you okay, Lester? I have a cat screaming for mercy. He's probably wanting attention. Then we have this. I flipped through this. This is the best of 2000 AD. Uh, I don't know what to tell you a lot about this one because there's a lot of collections, but this is from Rebellion, and it's like a sample. I'm not quite sure how they put this one together. We have some Strodium Dog, a lot of Judge Dredd, a little bit of Halo Jones, and we all know that's the one book by Alan Moore that I just don't get. That's the one that sets me off when I read it because I feel like it's very dumb. And then there's people that act like they're on the verge of tears when they talk about Halo Jones, where I'm like, is this a joke? You know what I mean? Like, it's the one where I'm not being insulting. I don't get it. I don't see what people see, and I never will, and I'm fine with that, right? But it's weird that she keeps popping up now. I have 2 volumes down there. I'm not going to get the third, and then I find a little bit more in here. We have a Judge Anderson story through here, so I love this stuff, right? And I don't know if there's anyone over the pond over there, that probably like laugh at us a little bit and stuff. But if you're liking this stuff, man, but you heard about 2000 AD before. And of course, the only reason I could pay attention and know, and if I went over here, I'll find a record from the 80s. I just remembered from Judge Dredd. But anyway, I heard about Judge Dredd in 2000 AD and all that stuff from Anthrax when I was a wee lad, So, yeah. I Am the Law, the very song. I heard all about it. Remember the interview where they talked about how they found Judge Dredd when they were touring and stuff, right? So now we're down to the big 2. And I want to show the John Byrne stuff first because I feel like it's sort of like the last hurrah of mainstream stuff, right? I'm one of the people that feels like Generations by John Byrne may have been his last great work. He put out so much stuff. I have so much stuff of his I followed, from X-Men to Fantastic Four to Superman to Alpha Flight, the West Coast Avengers, his Sensational She-Hulk, his Star Brand, Next Men, Babe. I could go on and on. I have a ton of his stuff, right? Colors, Legends, collected editions, covers, all sorts of stuff. I mean, I have a huge John Byrne collection just from accumulating it. And then you reach a point where you just got to admit he's just sort of doing his own thing. Maybe he's getting older. He had the art style change that people will absolutely, his Byrne victims, his hardcore fans, and Byrne himself will come after you if you criticize in the wrong way and stuff like that. But I don't care. But this is a series that there was 20 issues of it, and then there was a Genesis miniseries that bombed. It was either a crossover event. Well, it's because people weren't reading this series that he was doing. And the companion piece that goes to this is Walt Simonson doing Orion. So this is the late 2000s late 1990s going into the 2000s. But my wife got me this omnibus, Fourth World by John Byrne. Walt Simonson did the covers. That's why he has the covers. This thing is huge. I've had this for a few days. I cannot bring myself to open it yet. I think I'm needing 2 or 3 issues of the actual Jack Kirby's Fourth World book. Let me read what it has in here, right? There's pictures of this on my Instagram. Fourth World by John Byrne Omnibus features, are we ready for this? New Gods, Volume 4, 12 through 15. There is a New Gods book, right? And all of a sudden, I don't think the sales were very good. I don't even remember who was doing the book. And then all of a sudden, there's this Walt Simonson cover on it. And the last 3 issues was John Byrne on it. And they just went ahead and had it lead up into a whole new series called Jack Kirby's Fourth World. They took a bunch of books and they put them all in there. So not only this wasn't the New Gods, this was New Gods. Okay, this was Tascion, I think it's his name. And then this was like Forever People, Mr. Miracle. Anybody and everything that had anything to do with Jack Kirby's Fourth World, they are now in this title, And there was 1 through 20. Then there's the crossover event where the heroes were finding out that all their powers and all energy and things like that come from the source. And I remember it bombing. Well, now I'm realizing you had to be reading this series to understand what was going on, 1 through 4. A one-shot called Dark Side's Villains. New God's Secret Files #1, which I'm pretty sure I have most of this, but not all of it. And Jack Kirby's New Gods Gallery, and that gallery that's the cover that they're using on this stuff, right? This has got to be. This is just amazing, right? And thank God it didn't ship from my comic book shop. So, but yeah, this thing is beautiful. I cannot wait to get in there. Will I shoot a video on this? No, I will not, because this book came out about 2 years ago. I think there's a channel that I'm sure everybody's aware of, Near Mint. Oh my God, what is it? Near Mint Condition, Near Mint Collectibles. You'll find it, but apparently he is sponsored and he will receive a preview orders of these books, these omnibus and stuff, and he makes videos on them, puts them on a lazy Susan, spins them around for you, lays them down, walks through them, and then does his big little talk about the stories and stuff like that. We'll just leave it there. When you do this for a while, you can kind of tell when some people might go to Wikipedia or something. I don't know. And then the last thing I got, oh man, and let me check. Let me first show this. If you have me on Instagram, you've already seen it. Whoa, we got people popping up. Wolf by lunchtime. How are you doing? Great to see you there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Jackson Rory Kirk, Werewolf by Night. Oh, Palo is here. What's up, brother? Those Robert E. Howard books are great. I'm looking forward to them like you would not believe. I'm ready to rush through. I'm finishing the book I'm reading now. I'm going to do it before I start on that. I even bought the ones with Brian McBorn and El Borak. This is awesome. I mean, like, there's new stuff out here I'm reading. You know what I mean? Like those. Oh, yeah. Lester says, who are you talking to? I don't see anybody else there. Yeah, probably. You ought to see them, man. There's like a little stare down going on between Shiva and Lester right now. I bet you're stoked for the new Crow movie. Doom Space Marine. How could I say this? One of the things that I learned when I was 16 is, and I proudly say it because I'm happy I was wrong. I did a life lesson. A life lesson. When you are a cocky, angry, mullet wearing young man of 16 in the 80s and stuff, and you see that Michael Keaton, Johnny Dangerously, Mr. Mom, Beetlejuice is going to play Batman. I was one of the people of like, what the fuck are they doing? I was one of them. I go and see the movie, and not even 2, 3, 5 minutes into the movie, whatever it was, I was sold and I was wrong. But when it comes to this new Crow movie, from what I saw, my Crow does not look like he sells meth in a Florida trailer park. And I feel like there's going to be some kind of bait and switch going on, because I don't know who the girl is. The actress playing Shelley, but that's not Shelley from what I've seen. I wish they had just said this was another Crow story instead of saying it is Eric and Shelley. So I'm a little protective of that story of the Crow, the original one. I have met James O'Barr. I have had him sign it. I've had a little talk with him because, believe it or not, when I saw him that year at Heroes Con, he did not have a line while I was there. So, yeah, I'm a little protective of it, but I don't want to sit here and trash it without seeing it. I've accepted I'm going to go see it. I've accepted there's going to be a bait and switch. And so help me, if they end up baiting and switching this where Crow comes back and Shelley comes back because of modern audiences, that is so wrong, because you have to know where James O'Barr, why he wrote that, why it was cathartic, and, you know, that it was based on his actual fiance getting killed by a drunk driver. And that's why I'm very protective over it. Sometimes it's just a movie, and then sometimes we just take things serious, you know, that maybe we shouldn't be so serious about. I love that you asked that question, because I went back and forth on should I do a video or something talking about it. So I'm glad I got that out. Yeah, that was 30 years ago. Things were different. You know, this is going, you know how this is going to go down. Yeah. we're going to be low expectations and positive, but we're not going to be surprised when we find out it's a piece of shit. That's there we go. You know what I mean? But who knows? Maybe it'll be Michael Keaton all over again. I do feel like the actor who the actor who's played Pennywise is the one that's playing the new meth meth head looking Eric Draven Crow in this movie. I really hope he's not now typecasted as the weirdo monster dude. You know what I mean? Like everything he's in is going to be there. So let's get to the last book here, guys, because I've gone longer than I wanted and I have things to do. I got to cook dinner for the wife. I'm considerate. I don't have to, but I want to cook dinner tonight for the wife when she gets back from work. She's doing a 12-hour shift today. And that's probably why she was able to get this for me. This is the one that would have been enough. I absolutely love the Omnibus. I'm tickled to death about it. I love that. But this is the one that's pure art. Okay. This is the one that was groundbreaking. This is the one where I joke around about Bronze Age comics. Like you can see where people went from smoking their marijuana to going to cocaine, where weird shit started happening. Well, this is in between that, where you had people that probably could handle their drugs, popped a little LSD, and came up with this stuff. And this was groundbreaking. I think it holds up as much as it did 50 years ago when it came out. And the great thing about having the settings of a lot of stories is it helps make them timeless. You get away from like tales, like technology and stuff, right? That's why Swamp Thing, when done right, it will work always because it's in a swamp. Or when you take things off Earth and it's completely fictional technology and it's out in space, and you can explain things by saying he went to another planet, another culture, another technology, things like that. But then you have timeless themes. And this guy was right. This guy definitely has themes in this, and opinions coming out, and opinions of people he worked with, and opinions of people who were doing editorial on him, where he made them clowns in the very book that they were in, and he's throwing pies in their faces, and all that stuff like that. But we have the gallery edition. I could not believe this when I opened this one. We have the gallery edition of Jim Starlin's Warlock work. I have assorted issues of Strange Tales. I have assorted issues. In the early 80s, they did a Baxter series that was 6 issues with wraparound covers where they were reprinting all of Starlin stuff. They also redid it around Infinity Gauntlet in the early 90s there. And I was able to piece those 2 series together and have all that stuff and everything, right? And now we have this, I have assorted issues of the Power Warlock and stuff. Like I've built it up over the years. And for you newbies here, I was talking about as a kid, the stepdad and the uncle had a house in the 77, 78 when I started reading comics as a kid, because I was reading their Silver Age stuff and Bronze Age stuff. And Warlock was in here, Gil Kane, Captain Marvel was there, if I, going through there. But there was also some Fantastic Four, Jack Kirby, Stan Lee stuff. And we have Fantastic Four number 67, I believe, which is his first appearance. And on that cover, it's a white cover. It's this grotesque cocoon. To me, it looked like it was covered in zits around the perimeter of said cocoon, because I was a kid. I thought it looked gross. And like I said, and it was on the background was completely white. I took crayons to it, trying to pretty it up because it grossed me out. It freaked me out. So yeah, that's what I did. Anyway, so this is an oversized gallery edition. Here's the book. Here's a comic, so you can see how big it is. And in this book, we have Strange Tales 178 to 181, Warlock 9 through 15, Avengers Annual number 7, and the Marvel 2-in-1 Annual number 2. Okay. So basically, if you're a fan of this character, you can pretty much get this collection and then jump on, skip ahead. I don't know, what was it? Probably like 13 years at the time. I don't know. Skip ahead and get Jim Starlin taking over Silver Surfer, where we're getting reintroduced to Thanos and everything, building up to Infinity Gauntlet and stuff, right? And you'll pick right up on the story of Warlock and them, how he brought him back. And it amazes me about the canon. The reason I'm really excited about this is, first of all, it's great storytelling. There's a lot of, if you are a historian of any sort, or you're really into the art of storytelling, come up with ways. There's some innovative stuff here. And this is after Jim Starlin. This is after Jim Steranko had already just blown people's minds in the 60s. Jim Starlin was able to come in and do some innovative work, just showing that there's always ways to improve and new techniques and stuff, right? So this is where it actually kind of started, is for the Marvel movies. If you're a fan of those, going back to 2008 with the first Iron Man, right? This is actually where it all started. I mean, right here's the Soul Gem, not Infinity Stone, but this is where it started. And over the years of them pissing off Jim Starlin and him doing his own thing and doing Dreadstar, and then he gets on Batman. And you guys got to realize I've said this before. I feel like it just amazes me. It's like the dominoes. It's like I can see how the dominoes fell, right? It's sort of like the groundwork was here, right here, starting here, in my opinion, if you will. And then, his creation of Thanos, which he says is he's completely inspired by Darkseid. That's why I respect Jim Starlin. He's like, yeah, I made Thanos. I was looking at Jack Kirby's Fourth World. I wanted a Darkseid. Awesome. You know what I mean? So New Gods, Jack Kirby, Jim Starlin on Warlock, and then all of a sudden, he makes his way to DC there over the years, his journey there, if you will, and he ends up doing Batman. We do a vote where we decide if Robin dies, Jason Todd. So everybody voted. I was one of the people that voted, and all of a sudden he gets fired because marketing calls up, and they're like, "What do you mean you killed Robin? Nobody cleared it with us." And Jim Starlin took the fall, and he was let go for it. And then he ends up back at Marvel on Silver Surfer doing the Infinity Gauntlet. And that is what led up to the blueprint for our Marvel movies that were fantastic from 2008 all the way up to Endgame, where I think it really ended, so as it should have, And one more thing, since I'm on that and stuff, but I love the fact that I get on here and we'll just talk about what's on my mind sometimes and stuff. But, I've said from the beginning when they announced Kong as the main villain about how that is so lame, why he's lame, and why I have never taken that character serious. I mean, it's like when it comes to Jack Kirby creations, we have Black Racer and Kong. To me, those two are on the same level. It's what it is. So I think it's just amazing what has happened to where Kong may or may not have been taken out of the picture due to the actor having all his legal issues and stuff. And I'm just sort of like, God, there's hope. So I read that as there's hope for the Marvel movies because they're getting Kong is lame. I'll always see him lame. I don't care who the character is, but if he wears thigh-high pirate boots, they're lame. You know what I mean? Like that's your red flag. Go back and look at Justice League Detroit. Still wore blue thigh-high boots. I don't care. To me, nature has a way of letting you know to stay away from things. A skunk will raise its tail. A dog will sit there and growl at you. Certain animals will pop their claws out and hiss. Thigh-high boots. That's one way of knowing to stay away from something. Oh man, so that is the haul. So as you can see, what we got here. He was a bad guy in John Wick 4. Also, who are we talking about? Because John Wick is huge in this house. My wife introduced me to two things: Pitch Perfect and John Wick. And I introduced her to Moulin Rouge and Rambo. And it's awesome to watch. We did a big Rambo marathon. She was there from the get-go, to the point that she doesn't call him Rambo. She calls him John lovingly because that's his name. He just wanted something to eat. Here we go. The Counter-Earth Saga and Starlin's Run are completely different takes on Warlock. Hardly feels like the same character. Yeah. We're going to have to do a show together, man, and I would love to talk about that because, I'm ready to go, and I got to go here in a minute. So I'm like, yeah. Oh, Paolo, look, I do those Sunday mornings. I know you're doing lunch all day, man. We got to get a night. We got to get a night together. All right, cool book. Thank you. What we got here? Oh, you're talking about the dude playing. Yeah. The dude playing the Eric Draven, the Crow. Yeah, I'm not going to hate on him per se. I may hate on the movie if it's bad, but it's not him. He's yeah. What will be worse, the Warlock in the Guardians movie or the new Crow portrayal? Parker, man, I'm not shitting you. I said that over the weekend. I actually said that, and I think I said that to my wife also last night about the when I opened the book that she got. You know, when I opened this up and we were talking about it, and I said, "This is the guy that's in the Guardians movie." That came out of my mouth. No joke. Oh, that's awesome. This is what I'm saying. This zeitgeist, this connection, the collectors and stuff. We all know. We all know. Usually it's Lady Death. Oh, Skarsgård. Look at you. On Sundays, I'm usually available from 10 p.m. to 1 p.m. I will let you know because I don't know if I'm going to be available on Sunday, but we'll keep that in mind. I had Breen. I want to get Gore back on, and then eventually I want to have you, Gore, Breen, everybody on in one show. I don't want to do like a regular thing where we try to meet all the time and stuff. It feels like crossover. I like that idea of like building up to where it's exciting for people that see a bunch of people coming together like that. You know what I mean? I'll talk about it later and stuff, right? So anyway, that's it. I've gotten juiced up going through these comics. I went from mildly irritated going through that G-Mart haul to being very excited, reliving and the thoughtful gifts that I'm very appreciative of from my friends and family and friends that are like family. Very appreciative of that. And just to let everybody know how appreciative I was, I have a place in life now to where I was able to pay for everybody's dinner on my birthday. And that was very important to me. So you guys that are watching that was there, yeah, I sort of snuck around and did it, but it's very important for me to show that I appreciate you guys. All right, guys, and that is it. Thanks for popping in on a Friday. For you guys that pop tune in on a rainy Sunday, make sure you like this video, subscribe, hit that bell. Be like John C, who's not here today, and make sure that you know hit that bell to be alerted. So if I am able to make it Sunday morning, you will know it. Right now, probably not. So later, guys, be excellent to each other. Enjoy the weekend, and man, you know, read your comics.